Hello, I am Dr. Aruna Saman, and in this video we will be discussing growth in plants. The different topics for our discussion are plant growth, the general idea we will have, definition and phases of growth we will discuss. We will also try to understand the conditions necessary for growth. Growth rates and types of growth curves we will understand. Differentiation, dedifferentiation, redifferentiation, these are certain terms. The plasticity and development are the concepts in the growth we are going to discuss. First, we will understand the definition of growth. Growth is one of the characteristic features of living organism. The definition of growth says that it is the permanent and irreversible increase in the bulk of an organism accompanied by change of form. Two terms here are important, permanent and irreversible. Once the increase occurs, then it becomes permanent. Two aspects are discussed in this definition. One is increase in the bulk of an organism. This refers to the quantitative aspect of growth. It refers to increase in the length, breadth, or any of such parameters, number of cells. Whereas the change of form, this refers to the qualitative aspect of growth in which the development and differentiation is also part of growth. The meristems. The difference between plant and animal growth is in plants, the growth is indeterminate. It occurs throughout the life and it is restricted to some specific regions which are called meristems. These regions are where the cells are constantly and continuously undergoing division and new cells are being produced. The cells in this region are thin-walled. They are without vacuoles. They have prominent nucleus and cytoplasm is granular. Depending upon the position, the meristems are of three types. In this cross-section of stem, we can see the position of apical meristem at the apex of the stem. It is responsible for increase in the length of the stem. The intercalary meristem, it is located at the base of the internodes and it gives rise to lateral outgrowth such as leaves. Whereas the lateral meristem, it is towards the base of the stem and it is responsible for the increase in the diameter of the plant. Only the cells of lateral meristem, they divide periclinally, that is parallel to the longer axis. Whereas cells of the intercalary meristem and apical meristem, they divide in all different planes. The phases of growth. The cells in the meristem, they divide and then they enlarge, and that enlargement is followed by differentiation. So corresponding to these three stages, there are three phases of growth. The first phase is phase of cell division. The meristematic cells undergo mitotic division. A single cell when divides, it forms two new cells and one cell remains meristematic, the other cells become permanent. In this phase, the rate of growth occurs at a slow but steady pace and therefore this is also called lag phase. In this graph, we can see initial very slow increase in the number of cells, that is growth is very slow and this is called the phase of cell division. The next phase is the phase of enlargement or elongation. The newly formed cells in the phase of division, they are just formed, then they become vacuolated, osmotically active and they absorb water. As a result, they become turgid. The cells enlarge lengthwise as well as breadthwise. The organic material also gets synthesized. And rate of growth is at accelerated pace. Hence, it is also called exponential phase. We can see here in diagram In this graph, the exponential phase, very fast the growth has occurred. So this is second phase, phase of elongation. And then we will see the third phase, and that is phase of cell maturation or differentiation. In this graph, we have already seen phase of division where growth was very slow. Then phase of elongation, the growth occurred with accelerated pace. And now we are going to see the phase of maturation or differentiation. The already enlarged cells now undergo morphological and physiological changes. The cells become specialized and mature, and rate of growth is now very slow, almost steady. So this is called stationary phase. So here we can see almost steady phase, stationary phase, and this is called phase of cell maturation. All these three phases we can understand with the help of an experiment also. In this experiment, we have taken a germinating seed. It is a radical, and we will consider along the length of this radical, the points are marked A, B, C, D up to P. But these points are marked at equal distance. After 1 week, these points are again observed. And what is noticed is the distance between these points is now increased. Initially, the points were at equal distance, and now after 1 week, the distance between these points have changed. The distance has increased, but this increase is not equal. Then where there is more increase in the distance between the points, and where there is almost fractional increase in the distance between the points, let us see. This is initial position of the points, and after 1 week, this is the position of the points. So between these points, there is not much increase, slight increase in the distance has occurred, because this is phase of cell division, and on the root we call it zone of cell formation. Whereas the further points, these points, they show much increase in the distance. The lines are not at all parallel now, because the distance between the points have increased. This is phase of elongation, and on the root surface we mark it as zone of cell elongation. Whereas further points here, the distance has not increased much, because the cells are now in the phase of maturation where they are undergoing differentiation. There is no increase in number of cells, there is no increase in enlargement of the cell, only internal changes are occurring. So this is phase of maturation, which we call zone of cell differentiation. And further up also there is not at all increase in the distance, because it is zone of mature cells. So this way the phases of growth can be understood with this experiment. In the phase of cell division, very little distance has increased. Maximum increase in the distance is in the phase of elongation. Conditions for growth, especially the external environmental conditions necessary for growth, will be considered here. Water, as we all know, it is essential component of protoplasm. It is required to maintain turgidity of the cell, and for various biochemical reactions to occur, it maintains the aqueous medium. Nutrients is another condition necessary for growth. These nutrients, if required in traces, usually acting as catalyst. Then there are micronutrients such as zinc, copper, manganese, etc. Macro elements are required in larger quantity such as NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium. These are macronutrients, and they are all required for balanced growth of the plant. Then temperature, most of the chemical reactions, most of the enzymes are active in the range of temperature range of 25 to 35 degrees Celsius. Oxygen, as we know, necessary for respiration and for liberation of energy. Light is essential for photosynthesis and also for seed germination. And gravity, we all know, the root grows towards gravity, the stem grows away from gravity. So gravity decides the direction of the growth of shoot and root. Let us understand now the growth rates, or it is also called efficiency index. The growth rate is nothing but the amount of growth occurring per unit time. There are two types of growth rates: absolute growth rate, AGR, and relative growth rate. What is absolute growth rate? The measurement and comparison of growth, that is total growth occurring per unit time. It is change in the cell number upon the time interval. Whereas relative growth rate, the growth of a particular system per unit time in comparison to something. So usually the initial growth is taken into consideration, and in comparison to initial growth, how much growth has occurred. So when this comparison is done, it is called relative growth rate. And it is the ratio of growth in the given time. So it is as good as AGR upon initial growth. So AGR is equal to dN upon dt, that is number of cells increased upon the time taken for that increase. Whereas RGR, relative growth rate, is this AGR is calculated and upon that the initial growth is taken. We can understand these two types of growth rate with the help of an example. Here is leaf A. Its initial surface area is 5 centimeters square. After say fixed time period, say 5 hours, it becomes 10 centimeters square. There is another leaf here, leaf B. The initial surface area is 50 centimeters square, and again fixed time 5 hours, it becomes 55 centimeter square. Let us now calculate the absolute growth rate of leaf A and leaf B. What is absolute growth rate? The measurement and comparison of total growth per unit time. So how much growth has occurred? Initially it was 5, then it became 10 units. So increase is 5 units, and for that the 5 hours time period is taken. So AGR is 5 upon 5, 1 centimeter square per hour. This is absolute growth rate. Similarly, for leaf B, initial area was 50 units, then it became 55. So how much growth has occurred? 5 centimeters square, and it has taken 5 hours. So increase in the growth upon time, that is once again 1 centimeter square per hour is the answer. So in both the cases, absolute growth rate has remained same. It is 1 centimeter square per hour. Now if we calculate the relative growth rate, then how the calculation is done? The relative growth rate is AGR upon the initial surface area. So in this leaf A, the AGR is 1 centimeter square per hour. And what was the initial surface area? 5 centimeter square. So 1 upon 5, 0.2. So 20% increase, 20% growth has occurred as compared to the initial surface area. Whereas in case of leaf B, the AGR was same, 1 centimeter square per hour. But initial surface area was 50 centimeter square. So relative growth rate is 1 upon 50, that is 0.02. So 2% growth has occurred over the initial surface area. So naturally here the relative growth rate in leaf A is faster as compared to the relative growth rate in leaf B, though the absolute growth rate were the same. Types of growth: arithmetic growth and geometric growth. Here, with the help of a diagram, we can understand the arithmetic growth. The geometric growth is also depicted by this diagram. The cell divides mitotically into two. one of the daughter cells only continues to divide. The other daughter cell becomes permanent. When this daughter cell divides, again the two new cells which are formed, one remains meristematic and other becomes permanent. So every time one cell gets added to the permanent tissues. So first it is only one permanent tissue, then two permanent tissues, then three permanent tissues. So this way what growth is occurring, this is arithmetic growth. Whereas in this case, geometric growth, the cell divides mitotically into two. But here both cells continue to divide and redivide and give rise to new cells. So initially one cell, it becomes 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. This way the growth will occur. So this is geometric growth. What is the difference between arithmetic growth and geometric growth? Growth occurs in arithmetic progression. Initially single cell, one gets added, becomes 2, one gets added, becomes 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Whereas in geometric growth, it occurs in geometric progression. First single cell, it divides to form 2, 2 become 4, 4 become 8, 16 in this manner. So growth in arithmetic growth is very steady, whereas geometric growth is initially slow, but it is followed by exponential rate. The arithmetic growth is constant, whereas geometric growth is not constant. We can continue this difference further. If we plot a graph of arithmetic growth, then we get a linear curve, whereas the geometric growth shows an exponential curve, a J-shaped curve is obtained. The expression for arithmetic growth is LT is equal to L0 plus RT, whereas for geometric growth, the expression is WL is equal to W0 multiplied by e raised to n. Types of growth during embryo formation. When the embryo develops from zygote, that single cell zygote divides first to form two cells. The second division is at right angle to the first to form 4 cells. And then these 4 cells become 8, 8 become 16, 16 become 32. So you can imagine this is geometric progression. The geometric phase of cell division is observed here. But once enough number of cells are produced, then arithmetic growth starts. That is, some of the cells become permanent, they get differentiated into specialized cells, and only few cells continue to divide. So when the embryo formation takes place, initially it is geometric growth and it is followed by the arithmetic growth. Now we are going to understand the growth curves and the different types of growth curves. What is growth curve? It is a graphic representation of the total growth occurring against time. So here there is one type of growth curve called linear growth curve. It is a straight line, and we have already seen in the arithmetic growth this type of curve is obtained. The second type of growth curve is exponential growth curve. It is J-shaped. Here the growth is shown. You can see the geometric progression of the growth, and it is the geometric growth which shows this exponential growth curve. The population increase, if we see, it shows clear J-shaped curve. So these are all exponential growth curve. Whereas the third type of growth curve is sigmoid growth curve. It is S-shaped and it is corresponding to the 3 phases of growth. The phase of division, phase of elongation, and phase of maturation. So these 3 phases when are plotted on a graph, then we get sigmoid curve. So 3 types of growth curves are linear growth curve, exponential growth curve, and sigmoid growth curve. We will understand the sigmoid growth curve further. Growth rate is initially always slow, when it is in the phase of division. It is called lag phase. Then it is followed by exponential phase or log phase, where the growth is very fast and it reaches its maximum. And then comes the stationary phase, where the cells are undergoing differentiation. They are specializing and the growth rate is gradually slows down. When a graph of rate of growth against a time is plotted for these three phases of growth, then we get a sigmoid curve. So this is x-axis with time, y-axis with the growth parameter, and the first phase is lag phase, where the growth is very slow. This is the time passing, but hardly any growth taking place. Increase in the quantity wise increase is very less. So this is lag phase. It is followed by exponential or log phase, where growth is very fast. And after that, it is the cell differentiation phase, which is also called stationary phase, where the growth has become almost steady. The total time period required for all the phases to occur is called grand period of growth. Let us understand these three terms: differentiation, dedifferentiation, and redifferentiation. In the differentiation, the cells derived from apical meristem of root, shoot, they undergo permanent changes. Physiological changes occur, morphological changes occur, and as a result, the cells become permanent. They lose the capacity of division. The meristematic tissues, they form new daughter cells. These cells undergo differentiation, that is, physiological, morphological changes, and during the process, they lose the capacity of division. They become permanent tissues. For example, formation of parenchyma, parenchyma, sclerenchyma, xylem, phloem. This is all differentiation. Then what is dedifferentiation? The permanent cells, when they regain the capacity of division, they have once lost the capacity of division, now they get back this capacity, become meristematic. For example, interfascicular cambium. This is the meristematic tissue present or formed between the vascular bundles. And as a result, the permanent tissues, when they again regain the capacity of division, and they give rise to new cells, then that process is called dedifferentiation. The permanent tissues become meristematic tissues. Example is interfascicular cambium. So these cells will now divide and redivide, and new cells will be formed. And then the next step will be redifferentiation. The cells produced by dedifferentiation, that is these cells, they undergo once again differentiation, that is permanent changes, physiological, morphological changes to perform specific function. The cells once again lose the capacity of division. They become permanent. And example is secondary xylem, secondary phloem formed. So these were the meristematic tissues. Now they will undergo redifferentiation. Once again, physiological, morphological changes will occur and capacity of division will be lost. And permanent tissues will be formed. For example, secondary xylem, secondary phloem. So, differentiation gives rise to permanent tissues. Dedifferentiation gives rise to the cells capable of division. And redifferentiation again gives rise to permanent tissues. So differentiation and redifferentiation, they are both giving rise to permanent cell. And once they have become permanent by differentiation, for some reason when they regain the capacity of division, that is dedifferentiation. So this way, the three terms we have to remember: differentiation, that is meristematic tissues becoming permanent, permanent tissues becoming again meristematic, dedifferentiation, And these meristematic tissues again becoming permanent, that is redifferentiation. Plasticity, it is the ability of plants to form different kinds of structures in response to different environmental. This environment may be external or internal stimuli in various phases of life. So same organ but in different morphological form the plant is capable of producing, and it does this in response to the stimuli, external or internal. And this capacity to produce different morphological forms of the same organ, that is called plasticity. So let us take the example here. The intrinsic plants plasticity, that is internal stimulus. This is found in coriander and cotton. Here we can see the juvenile leaf. When the coriander leaf is very young, cotton leaf is very young, it shows this type of morphology of the leaf, and this morphology of the leaf changes as the leaf matures. So this ability to produce the leaves of two different types, one type at the juvenile stage and different type at the mature stage, this is called heterophyly, and this is in response to the intrinsic stimuli. Similarly, the heterophyly is observed in Ranunculus flabellaceus, buttercup. But here the stimulus is not internal, it is external stimulus, environmental stimulus. Here the leaves which are produced in the air, they are of this type, whereas the leaves which are submerged in water, they show the different morphology. This is in response to the environmental conditions available in the air and in water. So the leaves, the same type of organs but different morphology. This is called heterophyly, and this is in response to the stimulus. Here it is environmental stimulus in case of buttercup plant and internal stimulus in case of coriander and cotton. But basically the heterophyly is an example of plasticity, which is the ability of the plant to form different structures of its organs in response to the environmental, external or internal environmental conditions. Development refers to the ordered or progressive change in the shape, form, and degree of complexity. It includes all the changes occurring in sequential manner right from birth till the death of the plant. Let us see here. The seed germinates. It has all meristematic tissues which are capable of division. The cells divide, redivide, produce new cells, and then the protoplasm also increases. Anabolic changes are faster, higher than catabolic changes, and protoplasm increases in amount. This leads to cell elongation, and then physiological changes occur in the cell, which is called cell maturation. Cell become specialized, and then these matured cells, they now start showing aging. The aging sets in, which is called senescence, and this ultimately leads to the death. So here we started from the birth of the plant. We have considered all the different stages in sequential manner, and ultimately we reach the death of that plant. And this development is from germination of seed up to the senescence, that is aging, and death during the entire life cycle of plant, which is called development. It includes all these sequential stages. So in this discussion, we have talked about the general idea of growth. We considered definition, qualitative and quantitative aspects of growth, phases of growth, phase of cell division, phase of elongation, phase of maturation. Then we considered conditions for growth, especially the external conditions. Growth rates, absolute growth rate and relative growth rate. And types of growth, arithmetic growth and geometric growth. Then growth curves: linear growth curve, exponential growth curve, and sigmoid growth curve. And then we also understood differentiation, de-differentiation, and redifferentiation. We discussed two concepts. First was plasticity, the example was heterophyly, and development. Thus, we have come to the end of our discussion on growth in plants. Thank you.